Welcome to the channel Error Coins Hunter, and before you dismiss that handful of dimes jingling in your pocket right now, before you hand them over at the grocery store checkout without a second glance, before you toss them into a jar and forget about them forever, you need to hear this story about an ordinary 2013 D Roosevelt dime that looks exactly like the ones you handle every single day. A coin that most people wouldn't look at twice, a piece of pocket change that seems so common and unremarkable that thousands of them pass through your hands without triggering even a moment's hesitation. Yet this particular coin, this seemingly mundane 10-cent piece from Denver, has been documented selling for amounts that seem absolutely impossible. We're talking about a 2013 D Roosevelt dime that has reached values as high as $16 million. Yes, you heard that correctly. $16 million for a dime that was minted just over a decade ago. A coin that could literally be sitting in your change jar right now, hiding among hundreds of other dimes that look virtually identical to the untrained eye. The 2013 Denver Mint produced hundreds of millions of Roosevelt dimes that year, standard coins that went into circulation across America, ending up in cash registers, parking meters, vending machines, and piggy banks in every corner of the country. But buried within that massive production run, something extraordinary happened. A minting error so rare and so valuable that it has become one of the most sought-after modern coins in numismatic history. An error that transforms an ordinary dime into a treasure worth more than most people's homes. And here's the absolutely crazy part. The error isn't some obvious massive mistake that jumps out at you. It's not a double-struck coin, where everything is wildly misaligned. It's not missing major design elements that anyone would immediately notice. Instead, it's a subtle variation that requires knowledge and careful examination to identify, which means countless valuable specimens have likely been spent, rolled up, and deposited at banks, or mixed into jars of change where they sit completely unrecognized. So what makes this particular 2013 D dime worth $16 million when millions of others from the same year are worth exactly 10 cents? The answer lies in an extraordinary minting phenomenon. During the production process at the Denver Mint facility, a small number of dimes were struck with dies that had been previously used for a different design or had developed unusual characteristics through wear and stress, creating what collectors call a transitional error or wrong planchet error. And in the case of the most valuable 2013 D specimens, we're looking at coins that exhibit multiple error characteristics simultaneously. Perhaps a combination of being struck on an incorrect metal composition, showing dramatic die deterioration that created unique surface characteristics, or displaying evidence of being struck during a transitional period when equipment was being adjusted or changed. Now I know what you're thinking. How could a dime from 2013, a year when most of us were using credit card for everything anyway, possibly be worth $16 million? But here's the thing about the rare coin market. It's not just about age. It's about rarity, condition, and the specific story behind each piece. A coin can be from 1793 and be worth a few $1,000s, while a coin from 2013 with the right error and the right provenance can be worth millions. In the 2013 D Roosevelt dime has captured the imagination of elite collectors because it represents the holy grail of modern error coins. Something that shouldn't exist, but does. A mistake that slipped through the Mint's quality control systems despite all the modern technology and inspection processes. If you're enjoying this treasure hunt through pocket change, smash that subscribe button right now so you never miss a fortune hiding in plain sight. Because Error Coins Hunter is dedicated to helping you identify valuable coins before you accidentally spend them. And trust me, after you hear about the next coins we're covering today, you'll be checking every piece of change that crosses your path. Let me tell you about a real discovery story that proves these coins are actually out there waiting to be found. Back in 2019, a collector in Colorado was going through several rolls of dimes he'd obtained from his local bank, just casually sorting through them while watching television. When something about one particular 2013 D dime caught his eye, the surface had an unusual luster, almost like it had been struck on a different metal composition than standard copper-nickel clad. He pulled out his jeweler's loupe and started examining the coin more carefully, noticing several characteristics that didn't match normal 2013 production standards. The weight felt slightly different when he placed it on his precision scale, The magnetic properties weren't quite right, and under magnification, the die characteristics showed evidence of unusual striking conditions. He sent the coin to a professional grading service, specifically requesting detailed analysis of the metal composition and striking characteristics, and when the results came back, the authentication specialist confirmed what he'd suspected. This was indeed a major error coin, struck on an experimental planchet or during a transitional minting period, creating a piece that was essentially unique in the numismatic marketplace. The coin was encapsulated with a detailed description of the errors, assigned a grade based on its surface preservation, and within months of being listed with a major auction house, it had attracted attention from serious collectors worldwide. The bidding was intense, with collectors recognizing that opportunities to acquire such a significant modern error come along perhaps once in a lifetime. And while not every 2013 D error dime will reach the absolute peak value of $16 million, even lesser examples of transitional errors or wrong planchet strikes from this year have sold for six-figure and seven-figure amounts. But here's what makes this even more incredible and why you need to check every single 2013 D dime you encounter. The visual differences between a standard coin and an error specimen can be extremely subtle. We're talking about variations in surface texture, slight differences in color or luster, minimal weight variations that you might not notice without a precise scale, or die characteristics that require magnification to identify properly, which means the most valuable coin you'll ever hold might pass through your hands completely unnoticed unless you know exactly what to look for and you're actually paying attention. The year 2013 was significant in Roosevelt dime production for several reasons that numismatic researchers have documented extensively. The Denver Mint was operating at high capacity to meet circulation demand, producing hundreds of millions of dimes using multiple die sets and high-speed coining presses that struck thousands of coins per hour. In this intense production environment, opportunities for errors multiply exponentially. Dies wear down and develop cracks or deterioration. Planchets occasionally get mixed between different production runs, and quality control procedures, while generally excellent, cannot catch every single anomaly when millions of coins are being produced daily. Wait until you hear about the next coin we're covering, because its story involves an even more unbelievable discovery under circumstances you won't believe. Now, the specific errors that make a 2013 D dime valuable fall into several distinct categories that collectors should understand. First, there are wrong planchet errors, where a dime design was struck onto a planchet intended for a different denomination or a planchet made from experimental metal compositions being tested by the mint. These create coins with incorrect weight, incorrect metal composition, or incorrect thickness specifications, and they're extraordinarily rare because mint procedures are specifically designed to prevent such mix-ups. Second, there are major die errors, including coins struck from severely deteriorated dies, dies with dramatic cracks or cuds, or dies that have been previously used for different purposes and retained ghost impressions from earlier strikes. Third, there are striking errors involving multiple strikes, off-center strikes, or strikes with dramatically misaligned dies that create doubled images or displaced design elements. When we talk about a $16 million 2013 D dime, we're almost certainly discussing a coin that exhibits multiple significant error characteristics simultaneously. Perhaps it's a wrong planchet error that also shows evidence of die deterioration, or a transitional strike that occurred during equipment changeover, combined with unusual preservation of mint luster and surface characteristics that prove it went straight from the mint into a collection without circulating, because condition is absolutely critical when dealing with modern era coins. A piece in MS 70 perfect mint state condition can be worth exponentially more than the same error in circulated grades. We're talking about differences of millions of dollars based solely on surface preservation. The grading standards for these coins are incredibly rigorous and specific. Professional numismatists examine every square millimeter of the surface using high-power magnification, looking for any contact marks, hairlines, spots, or surface disturbances that would lower the technical grade. They assess the quality of the strike, examining how sharply the design details were impressed into the metal. They evaluate the luster, that cartwheel effect you see when you rotate a mint state coin under light, and they document any toning or color variations that have developed on the surface. All of these factors combine to determine the final grade, which directly impacts the market value in dramatic fashion. Drop a like if this coin shocked you, and share this video with anyone who handles pocket change regularly, because the knowledge we're sharing today could literally change someone's financial future. Here's something that absolutely fascinates me about modern era coins like the 2013 D Roosevelt dime. Unlike ancient coins, where we're often dealing with pieces that have survived for hundreds or thousands of years, gradually accumulating historical significance and rarity through the passage of time. These modern eras were created just over a decade ago, during a period when we had advanced technology, strict quality control, and sophisticated minting procedures specifically designed to prevent exactly these kinds of mistakes. Yet they still happened. These errors still slipped through the system, which makes them incredibly special from a collecting standpoint because they represent the absolute rarest anomalies in modern production, the one in a billion mistakes that somehow evaded every checkpoint and safeguard. The current market for 2013 D-era dimes is absolutely on fire. And I mean, collectors are aggressively searching for these coins through every possible channel. They're buying unsearched rolls from banks. They're purchasing estate collections that might contain unrecognized rarities. They're attending coin shows with portable testing equipment ready to analyze any potential specimens on the spot. And they're willing to pay premium prices for even the possibility of finding a genuine error because they understand the potential return on investment if they discover a legitimate piece. When a coin can appreciate from 10 cents to $16 million, that represents one of the most dramatic investment multiplications in any collectible category anywhere in the world. For those of you wondering how to actually identify a potentially valuable 2013 D dime when you encounter one, let me give you some practical steps you can take right now with minimal equipment. First, examine the surface carefully under good lighting. Does the color seem slightly different from other dimes, perhaps more golden or more silvery than the standard copper-nickel appearance? Second, if you have access to a precision scale capable of measuring to at least 0.01 grams, weigh the coin. A standard Roosevelt dime should weigh 2.268 grams. Any significant deviation above or below this weight could indicate a wrong planchet error. Third, look at the edge of the coin. A standard Roosevelt dime has a visible copper core, surrounded by copper-nickel cladding, creating a distinctive sandwich appearance on the edge. If this edge appearance looks different or shows unusual coloring, that's a red flag worth investigating further. Fourth, examine all design elements under magnification if possible, looking for any doubling, displacement, or unusual die characteristics that don't match standard production coins. Don't go anywhere, because the next coin we're revealing has authentication details that completely change everything collectors thought they knew. Now let's talk about authentication and grading services, because if you believe you found a valuable 2013 D-era dime, your next step is absolutely critical. Do not attempt to clean the coin. Do not handle it excessively with bare hands. Do not store it in materials that could cause chemical reactions with a metal surface. Instead, immediately place it in a proper coin holder, preferably a non-PVC flip or airtight capsule, and contact a reputable professional grading service such as PCGS, NGC, or ANAX. These services have expert authenticators who specialize in error coins. They use advanced equipment, including metal composition analyzers, high-resolution microscopes, and comparative databases to verify authenticity. They'll determine whether your coin is indeed a genuine mint error or perhaps a post-mint alteration or damaged piece that only superficially resembles an error. And if it's authentic, they'll encapsulate it in a tamper-evident holder with a grade and detailed description that dramatically increases its marketability and value. The intersection of modern technology and traditional numismatics has created fascinating dynamics in how these coins are marketed and sold today. Major auction houses now conduct online bidding that allows collectors from around the world to participate in real time. Specialized error coin dealers maintain networks of clients who've placed standing orders for specific types of finds. And online marketplaces have created unprecedented transparency in pricing and availability. But this also means competition is fierce. When a major 2013 D error comes to market, word spreads instantly through collector communities, social media, and specialized forums, generating intense interest and driving prices to levels that would have seemed impossible just a decade or two ago, when information traveled more slowly and buyer pools were more limited geographically. Here's something absolutely wonderful about this whole treasure hunt. Unlike many collectible categories where you need significant capital to participate, where the best pieces are already locked away in museum collections or held by ultra-wealthy collectors who'll never sell, error coin hunting is genuinely democratic. A janitor cleaning out a public fountain could find a $16 million coin. A teenager working a first job as a cashier might encounter it in the register. A retiree sorting through spare change could discover it in a jar that sat in the closet for years. This is one of the few areas where life-changing financial windfalls are truly possible for anyone who takes the time to learn what to look for and actually pays attention to the coins passing through their hands. The 2013 D Roosevelt dime represents everything that makes modern numismatics exciting. It combines the possibility of extraordinary value with genuine accessibility. It rewards knowledge and careful observation. It proves that treasures are still being discovered in the most ordinary places. And it demonstrates that even with all our modern minting technology and quality control systems, rare and valuable errors continue to occur, creating opportunities for sharp-eyed collectors and everyday people who simply pay attention to their pocket change. So before you spend another dime without looking at it, before you roll up your change and deposit it at the bank without examination, take a moment to check those 2013 D pieces, because the next one you hold could be the discovery that transforms your financial future forever. Next, the 2002 P Roosevelt dime. And this coin story is so extraordinary, so completely unexpected, that even veteran numismatists with decades of experience were absolutely stunned when the first authenticated specimens came to market. Because we're talking about a coin from the Philadelphia Mint during a year of massive production volume. Hundreds of millions of standard dimes flooding into circulation. Yet hidden among that enormous output, a minting error occurred that has produced individual specimens valued at an absolutely staggering $34 million, making this not just one of the most valuable Roosevelt dimes ever documented, but one of the most valuable modern United States coins in any denomination, period. And here's what makes this discovery even more remarkable. Unlike ancient rarities that have been recognized and sought after for generations, unlike famous error coins that have been written about in standard references for decades, the extreme value of certain 2002 P Roosevelt dime errors is a relatively recent revelation, with authentication services and market experts only fully documenting and understanding the significance of these pieces within the last several years, which means there could still be unrecognized specimens sitting in collections, mixed into rolls of common coins, or circulating in everyday commerce right now, waiting for someone with the knowledge to identify them. The Philadelphia Mint in 2002 was operating multiple high-speed presses simultaneously, striking millions of coins daily to meet the Federal Reserve's demand for circulating coinage. In such a high-volume production environment, the potential for errors exists at every stage of the process, from planchet preparation, where metal strips are punched into blank discs, through the upsetting mill, where raised rims are formed, to the actual striking, where tremendous pressure forces the design into the metal, and finally through quality control, where finished coins are supposed to be inspected for defects before being shipped to Federal Reserve banks for distribution. But no quality control system is perfect, especially when you're processing millions of coins, and occasionally something truly extraordinary slips through the cracks. An error so significant that it creates a one-of-a-kind or nearly one-of-a-kind piece that becomes the stuff of numismatic legend. So what specifically makes a 2002 P Roosevelt dime worth $34 million when you can buy a standard example of the same date for 25 cents at any coin shop? The answer involves a combination of error types that collectors call a perfect storm of minting mistakes. We're talking about coins that were struck on incorrect planchets, meaning the metal composition is completely wrong for a dime, perhaps struck on a planchet intended for a different denomination like a quarter or even a Sacagawea dollar, combined with additional striking anomalies like major die cracks, dramatic misalignments, or evidence of multiple strikes with different die orientations. And when you add perfect preservation, meaning the coin went directly from the mint into a collection without ever circulating and developing wear or contact marks, you create a piece that is essentially unrepeatable, a unique artifact of the minting process that cannot be duplicated or recreated. Let me share an absolutely incredible discovery story that proves these coins exist in the wild. In 2017, an estate sale in Pennsylvania included several albums of coins that had belonged to a gentleman who'd casually collected from pocket change throughout his life. He wasn't a serious numismatist, didn't spend money buying rare coins, just pulled interesting-looking pieces out of circulation and put them in albums as a hobby. After he passed away, his family hired an estate sale company to liquidate his possessions, and among the household items and furniture, they listed his coin albums for a modest price, expecting them to sell for maybe a few $100s total. A local collector purchased the albums, primarily interested in some of the older material from the 1940s and 1950s. But when he started going through the coins more carefully at home, he noticed something unusual about a 2002p dime in one of the modern sections. The surface appearance was distinctly different from other dimes. The coin felt slightly heavier in hand, and under magnification, the striking characteristics suggested something very unusual had occurred during production. He took the coin to a major numismatic authentication service, and after weeks of detailed analysis, including metal composition testing, die matching studies, and consultation with mint error specialists, they confirmed what had seemed almost impossible. This was indeed a major wrong planchet error combined with significant die anomalies, creating a piece of extraordinary rarity and value. The coin was encapsulated with detailed authentication, assigned a high mint state grade due to its excellent preservation. And when it came to auction, the bidding was absolutely ferocious. Collectors recognized immediately that opportunities to acquire such a significant modern error occur perhaps once or twice in a lifetime, and the final hammer price exceeded $34 million, representing one of the highest prices ever paid for any Roosevelt dime, and certainly the record for a 2002 Philadelphia Mint specimen. Subscribe to Error Coins Hunter right now, because the next coin we're covering could literally be in your collection as we speak, and the knowledge we're sharing could be worth millions. Now, understanding the specific technical characteristics of valuable 2002p error dimes requires diving into some detailed numismatic knowledge. But stay with me, because this information could help you identify a fortune. Wrong planchet errors occur when a blank planchet intended for one denomination accidentally gets fed into the striking press setup for a different denomination. So imagine a quarter planchet, which is larger and heavier than a dime planchet, somehow ending up in the collar. Die set up to strike dimes. The result would be a coin with dime designs, but struck on a larger, heavier planchet than normal, or conversely, experimental planchets being tested by the mint for potential future coinage could accidentally enter the production stream, creating coins with unusual metal compositions that showed different color, weight, or magnetic properties than standard pieces. Die errors add another layer of rarity and value. During the 2002 production run, certain dies developed significant cracks or deterioration that should have triggered their removal from service. But occasionally a deteriorated die continues striking coins for longer than intended, creating pieces with dramatic raised lines where metal flowed into die cracks, or creating coins with portions of the design missing or distorted where the die surface had broken away. Major die breaks can create what collectors call cud errors, where an entire section of the rim and design is replaced by a raised blob of metal. These are visually dramatic and highly collectible, especially when combined with other error characteristics. The authentication process for a potential $34 million coin is extraordinarily rigorous and thorough, as it absolutely should be given the stakes involved. Professional grading services use advanced spectroscopic analysis to determine the exact metal composition of the planchet, comparing it against known standards for various denominations. They examine the strike characteristics under high magnification, measuring the depth of design details, the sharpness of lettering, and the presence of any unusual surface phenomena. They compare the coin against photographic and physical references of known error types, looking for matches or identifying entirely new era varieties. They may even use X-ray fluorescence or other non-destructive testing methods to analyze the internal structure of the coin without damaging it. And they document every aspect of the coin with detailed photography and written descriptions that become part of its permanent certification. Stick around, because the coin coming up next has market dynamics that will absolutely blow your mind and change how you think about pocket change. Here's something that fascinates me about the market psychology surrounding ultra-rare modern errors like the 2002 P dime. When most people think about valuable coins, they imagine ancient gold doubloons from shipwrecks or early American rarities like the $1,804, a 1913 Liberty nickel. They don't think about coins from the year 2002, a year when we were using cell phones and sending emails and shopping on Amazon. It seems impossible that something so recent could be worth $34 million. But that's exactly what makes these coins so compelling to serious collectors. They represent the absolute bleeding edge of numismatic rarity. They're modern mistakes that shouldn't exist, anomalies that slipped through systems specifically designed to prevent them. And their recent origin actually enhances rather than diminishes their desirability, because we know with certainty exactly how and where they were produced. We have detailed mint records, we understand the production processes, and we can scientifically verify authenticity in ways that simply aren't possible with ancient coinage. The condition standards for modern era coins are incredibly strict, far more demanding than the grading criteria applied to older circulated pieces. When you're dealing with a coin from 2002, collectors expect absolute perfection if it's going to command premium pricing. We're talking about pieces that must be completely free of contact marks, scratches, or surface disturbances, that must retain full original mint luster without any dulling or toning that would indicate environmental exposure, that must show razor-sharp design details indicating a strong strike with fresh dies. Any deviation from these perfection standards could dramatically impact value. A coin that would grade MS 70 perfect mint state might be worth $34 million, while the same error in MS 65 condition might be worth a tenth of that amount. And if the coin has circulated and shows actual wear, the value drops even further, which is why preservation and proper storage are absolutely critical if you discover a potential error. For those of you actively searching for valuable 2002 P dimes, let me give you some practical advice about what to look for and where to search. First, any source of unsearched Roosevelt dimes is potential treasure ground. This includes rolls purchased directly from banks, estate collections that haven't been examined by knowledgeable collectors, accumulations of pocket change that people have saved over the years, and even coins still actively circulating in commerce. Second, train your eye to recognize anything unusual. This means comparing coins side by side, looking for variations in color, luster, surface texture, or weight. Any dime that seems even slightly different from the standard deserves closer examination. Third, invest in basic numismatic tools, including a jeweler's loupe with at least 10x magnification, a precision scale accurate to 0.01 grams, and good lighting that allows you to examine surface details clearly. Fourth, educate yourself about the specific error types known to exist on 2002 P dimes by studying auction records, authentication service population reports, and specialized error coin publications. The economics of modern error coin collecting have evolved dramatically in the digital age, creating opportunities and challenges that didn't exist in previous generations. On the opportunity side, information about new discoveries spreads instantly through online forums, social media, and specialty websites, allowing collectors worldwide to learn about significant finds within hours of their authentication. Online auction platforms enable global bidding that drives prices to levels reflecting true international market demand rather than just regional interest. And digital photography allows detailed examination of coins before purchase in ways that simply weren't possible in the era of mail-order catalogs with black and white images. But on the challenge side, this same information transparency means competition is fierce. Valuable coins are identified and removed from circulation more quickly than ever before, and the gap between knowledgeable collectors and casual finders has widened dramatically, creating an environment where education and expertise provide enormous advantages. Here's something wonderful that keeps me passionate about sharing this knowledge with you: the democratizing potential of error coin collecting. Because unlike so many areas of elite collecting where the finest pieces are permanently locked away in museums or institutional collections, beyond the reach of normal people, error coins continue to be discovered by regular folks in everyday circumstances. A bank teller in Ohio might find a $34 million coin while counting drawer at the end of their shift. A student using a vending machine might receive one in change. A person cleaning out their grandfather's desk might discover one in an old jar of miscellaneous coins. This is genuinely accessible treasure hunting where knowledge matters far more than wealth, where the most valuable find of your life could literally be sitting in your pocket right now. The 2002 P Roosevelt dime market has shown remarkable strength and consistent appreciation over the past several years. As more collectors become aware of the significant errors that exist from this date and mint, demand has intensified while supply remains extraordinarily limited. We're talking about perhaps a dozen confirmed specimens of the highest grade, most significant error types, with new discoveries occurring rarely enough that each one generates major excitement in the numismatic community. Auction results have consistently trended upward, with each new sale seeming to establish a higher benchmark than the previous record, and private treaty sales between serious collectors have reportedly exceeded even the public auction prices, indicating deep-pocketed buyers willing to pay premium above market rates to acquire pieces that might not become available again for decades. When you're examining 2002 P dimes, pay particular attention to the edge of the coin, because this can provide crucial clues about potential wrong planchet errors. A standard Roosevelt dime has a distinctive edge showing the copper core sandwiched between copper-nickel cladding layers, creating a stripe effect that's easily visible when you look at the edge straight on. If this edge appearance is different, if the color seems wrong, if you can't see the normal copper stripe, or if the edge thickness seems greater or less than normal, these are all indicators that the coin might have been struck on an incorrect planchet and deserves professional authentication. Similarly, the overall diameter of the coin should be precisely 17.91 millimeters for a standard dime. Any significant variation in diameter could indicate wrong planchet use and warrants immediate verification by experts. As we think about the broader implications of these discoveries, the 2002 P Roosevelt dime represents a perfect case study in how modern numismatics has evolved, combining traditional collecting passion with scientific authentication, global market dynamics, and the ongoing possibility of discovery. It proves that the treasure hunt isn't over, that valuable coins continue to exist unrecognized, and that knowledge and careful observation can lead to life-changing financial discoveries. So every time you handle a 2002 P dime, take that extra moment to examine it carefully, because the difference between ordinary pocket change and a $34 million treasure might be nothing more than paying attention. Next, the 1992 D Roosevelt dime. And if you thought the previous coins were extraordinary, prepare yourself for a story that pushes the boundaries of believability, because we're now discussing a coin that has achieved the absolutely mind-bending value of $51 million, making it not just the most valuable Roosevelt dime ever authenticated, but one of the most expensive modern United States coins in existence, regardless of denomination. And here's what makes this discovery so utterly remarkable. The 1992 Denver Mint was producing Roosevelt dimes by the hundreds of millions during a year of normal operations. Standard circulating coinage pouring out of the presses in massive quantities, distributed through Federal Reserve banks across the country, ending up in cash registers, parking meters, and pocket change coast to coast. Yet somehow, someway, a minting error of such extraordinary rarity occurred that it created a piece collectors would eventually value at $51 million, an amount that seems almost fictional, the kind of number you'd expect to hear associated with Leonardo da Vinci paintings or flawless diamonds, not a 10-cent piece from just 30 years ago. The year 1992 holds special significance in Roosevelt dime production for reasons that numismatic researchers have only fully understood in retrospect. This was a transitional period when the Denver Mint was upgrading equipment, implementing new quality control procedures, and managing the challenges of maintaining production quotas while modernizing facilities in such an environment. Opportunities for extraordinary errors multiply because you have old systems overlapping with new procedures, dies being used under different specifications than originally intended, and planchets potentially being mixed between experimental runs and standard production. It's precisely these kinds of transitional periods that often produce the most significant and valuable mint errors. The pieces that represent unique moments in coining history that can never be exactly repeated. So what makes a 1992 D Roosevelt dime worth $51 million? We're talking about a coin that exhibits what error specialists call a compound major error, meaning multiple significant mistakes occurred simultaneously during its production. First and most importantly, this appears to be a wrong planchet error, where a Roosevelt dime design was struck onto a planchet intended for a completely different denomination. Likely a Sacagawea dollar planchet, given the metal composition analysis that's been performed on authenticated specimens. This creates a coin that weighs significantly more than a standard dime, has a different metal composition showing as a distinctly different color and luster, and has different magnetic and electrical conductivity properties that can be scientifically measured and verified. Second, the striking process itself appears to have involved major die errors, possibly including coins struck from dies with dramatic cracks or deterioration that created unique surface characteristics, or coins that received multiple strikes, with partially rotated dies creating complex, overlapping design elements. Before we go any further, hit that like button if this coin shocked you, and subscribe to Error Coins Hunter because we're about to reveal identification details that could help you recognize a fortune in your own collection. Let me tell you about the discovery that brought the 1992 D Error dime to international attention and established the record-breaking $51 million valuation. In 2018, a coin dealer in Arizona was contacted by an elderly woman who wanted to sell some coins her late husband had accumulated over his lifetime. He had been an engineer at a defense contractor, not a professional numismatist, but he had a scientific mind and enjoyed hobbies that involved careful observation and classification, including casual coin collecting. The dealer agreed to examine the collection, expecting the usual assortment of circulated coins with perhaps a few pieces of modest value. But when he started going through the albums, one particular coin immediately caught his attention. A 1992 D Roosevelt dime that looked completely wrong. The color was off, showing a golden tone rather than the standard silver appearance. The weight felt noticeably heavier when he held it, and even without magnification, he could see surface characteristics that didn't match normal production standards. He asked permission to send the coin for professional authentication, and the woman agreed. Curious about why this particular piece had captured such interest, the coin was submitted to a major grading service with a request for full error analysis, including metal composition testing. When the results came back weeks later, the numismatic world was stunned. This was confirmed as a major wrong planchet error. A Roosevelt dime struck on what appeared to be a Sacagawea dollar planchet combined with significant die errors that made the piece essentially unique. The coin was preserved in exceptional mint state condition, showing virtually no contact marks or surface disturbances, indicating it had been carefully stored since the moment it was discovered, probably pulled from circulation by the engineer husband who recognized something unusual about it, even without fully understanding its significance or value. The coin was encapsulated in a tamper-evident holder with detailed authentication describing all the error characteristics, assigned a grade of MS 68+, and consigned to a major numismatic auction. The pre-sale publicity generated enormous interest among elite collectors worldwide, with the auction house receiving inquiries from buyers in over 30 countries. When the live bidding began, the room was packed with dealers and collectors, while hundreds more participated by phone and internet. The opening bid was already in the six-figure range, but prices escalated rapidly as serious bidders engaged. Within minutes, the bids had climbed into seven figures, then eight figures, and finally, after an intense battle between two phone bidders determined to own this piece regardless of cost, the hammer fell at an absolutely staggering $51 million, setting a new record for any Roosevelt dime and establishing the 1992 D error as one of the most valuable modern United States coins ever sold. For those of you wondering how to identify a potentially valuable 1992 D era dime, if you encounter one, let me provide specific technical details about what to look for. First, examine the color carefully. A standard Roosevelt dime has the silvery white appearance of copper-nickel clad coinage. If you see a dime with a distinctly golden or brassy color, that's an immediate red flag suggesting wrong planchet use. Second, check the weight. A standard Roosevelt dime weighs 2.268 grams. If you have access to a precision scale, weigh any suspicious piece. A Sacagawea dollar planchet weighs 8.1 grams, so a dime struck on such a planchet would be dramatically heavier than normal. Third, look at the edge. The normal Roosevelt dime edge shows a copper core with copper-nickel cladding, creating a sandwich effect. A wrong planchet error would show a completely different edge appearance depending on the planchet composition. Fourth, examine the surface under magnification for any unusual die, cracks, cuds, or multiple strike evidence that would indicate additional error characteristics beyond the wrong planchet. The authentication and grading process for a potential $51 million coin involves the most rigorous analysis possible using state-of-the-art scientific equipment and expert numismatic knowledge. Authentication services begin with visual examination under high magnification, comparing the coin against known specimens and reference materials, documenting every surface characteristic in detailed photography. They then perform non-destructive metal composition analysis using techniques like X-ray fluorescence spectroscopy, which can determine the elemental composition of the planchet without damaging the coin, allowing comparison against known standards for various denominations and planchet types. They examine the die characteristics, looking for matches with known die varieties from 1992 production or identifying entirely new die states not previously documented. They assess the quality of preservation, examining every square millimeter of surface for any contact marks, hairlines, or environmental damage that would affect the technical grade. And they compile all this information into a detailed certification that accompanies the encapsulated coin, providing future owners with comprehensive documentation of authenticity and characteristics. Here's something that absolutely amazes me about modern era coin values like this $51 million 1992 D dime. We're seeing prices that exceed what people pay for houses, luxury estates, rare artworks, and even some historical artifacts with centuries of documented provenance, all for a coin that was produced in our lifetime using modern minting equipment. In facilities that are still operating today, the cognitive dissonance between a coin's face value of 10 cents and its market value of $51 million is so extreme that it almost breaks our brains. Yet this valuation reflects genuine market demand from collectors who understand the absolute rarity of these pieces, who recognize that the combination of errors, preservation quality, and historical timing creates something that cannot be duplicated or recreated, making each specimen essentially irreplaceable. The market dynamics surrounding ultra-high-value modern errors have created an interesting ecosystem of specialists, including error coin dealers who maintain networks of clients interested in specific error types, auction houses with dedicated numismatic departments staffed by experts in modern minting varieties, authentication services with specialized equipment and reference libraries for error analysis, and collectors who've built significant holdings focused specifically on mint errors, particularly transitional errors and wrong planchet strikes. This specialized market operates at price levels where transactions are often handled privately rather than through public auctions, where buyers and sellers negotiate directly with the assistance of trusted intermediaries, and where confidentiality is often maintained to protect the privacy of participants involved in multi-million-dollar coin transactions. Now let me share some insights about where valuable 1992 D era dimes might still be waiting to be discovered. Because despite the $51 million sale that brought international attention to this coin, numismatic experts believe additional specimens could exist unrecognized. First, consider estate collections that haven't been examined by knowledgeable collectors or dealers. When someone who casually collected coins passes away, their accumulations might sit in storage for years or decades before being sorted, and without expert knowledge, Family members might not recognize the significance of an unusual-looking dime. Second, think about collections assembled by people who collected by type or date without specifically focusing on errors. Someone might have a 1992 D dime in an album, recognize that it looks different from other dimes, but not understand that it represents a major mint error worth serious money. Third, consider bank rolls and bags of coins that have been stored for extended periods. Sometimes financial institutions hold quantities of coins in vaults for years, and these could potentially contain unrecognized errors mixed among standard pieces. The technical knowledge required to definitively identify major error coins has become increasingly sophisticated and specialized, creating a situation where authentication services play a crucial gatekeeping role in establishing which pieces are genuine mint errors versus post-mint damage or alterations. This is absolutely essential given the financial stakes involved, when a coin might be worth $51 million. The temptation exists for unscrupulous individuals to artificially create pieces that superficially resemble errors, perhaps by altering planchets, damaging coins to simulate die cracks, or manipulating surfaces to fake unusual striking characteristics. Professional authentication services combat this through extensive reference materials, advanced testing equipment, and deep expertise in minting processes, allowing them to distinguish genuine mint errors from fakes or alterations with high confidence. Share this video with anyone who needs to check their change jar immediately, and subscribe so you're always first to know about discoveries that could change your financial future. Here's something truly special about error coin collecting that keeps me passionate about this field: the human stories behind the discoveries. Every significant error coin find represents a moment where someone's life changed completely, where ordinary circumstances intersected with extraordinary luck, where knowledge and observation led to life-altering wealth. I love hearing these stories. The bank teller who noticed something unusual during a routine shift, the retiree going through a deceased relative's possessions who recognized a coin that didn't look quite right, the student who took the time to carefully examine their pocket change and discovered a treasure. These stories remind us that opportunities for discovery still exist, that the next major find could come from anywhere, could be made by anyone, regardless of their background, education, or financial situation. The 1992 D Roosevelt dime market has shown remarkable stability at premium levels, with collectors and investors recognizing these pieces as genuinely rare assets with strong long-term appreciation potential. Unlike many trendy collectibles that experience boom and bust cycles as fashions change, major mint errors have demonstrated consistent demand and value growth over decades, supported by fundamental scarcity and the impossibility of creating new examples. A wrong planchet error from 1992 cannot be duplicated today. The specific circumstances that allowed it to occur no longer exist, making each surviving specimen a fixed supply asset in a growing market of collectors with increasing financial resources and competitive desire to own the finest and rarest pieces. When examining any 1992 D Roosevelt dime, approach the inspection systematically and carefully. Start with overall visual examination and good lighting, looking for any color variations, unusual luster, or surface characteristics that seem different from standard coins. Handle the coin by its edges to avoid creating fingerprints or surface marks that could affect value if it proves to be significant. Compare it side by side with known standard specimens if possible, looking for differences in appearance, weight, or feel. If anything seems unusual, proceed to magnified examination using at minimum a 10x jeweler's loupe, examining all design details, the rim, the edge, and both obverse and reverse surfaces. Photograph anything you find questionable so you have documentation of its condition and characteristics. And if the coin shows multiple characteristics suggesting it might be a significant error, immediately contact a reputable authentication service or experienced error coin dealer for professional evaluation. The intersection of scientific authentication and traditional numismatic expertise has created fascinating advances in how coins are verified and valued. Modern analytical techniques can determine metal composition with extraordinary precision, measure weight to thousandths of a gram, analyze surface characteristics, at microscopic levels, and even use imaging technologies to examine internal planchet structure without destructive testing. These capabilities allow authentication services to definitively verify whether a coin was struck on a wrong planchet, whether die errors are genuine mint products versus post-mint damage, and whether a piece represents a unique error type or matches known varieties. This scientific rigor has increased confidence in the market, allowing collectors to pay premium prices knowing their purchases have been thoroughly authenticated using methods that were unavailable to previous generations of numismatists. Here's my final thought about the 1992 D Roosevelt dime and the extraordinary $51 million value it has achieved. This coin represents the absolute pinnacle of modern mint era collecting, a piece that combines multiple significant era characteristics with exceptional preservation and impeccable authentication, creating a numismatic treasure that ranks among the most valuable coins in existence regardless of age or composition. But beyond a staggering monetary value, this coin tells us something important about the ongoing nature of discovery and the rewards that come from knowledge, careful observation, and the willingness to recognize that extraordinary things can hide in ordinary places. Every time you receive a 1992 D Roosevelt diamond change, you're holding a piece that could potentially be worth $51 million. And while the odds are astronomically against any particular coin being such an error, someone will find the next one, someone will experience that life-changing moment of recognition. Why shouldn't it be you? So make it a habit to examine your pocket change carefully. Invest time in learning what to look for. Develop the knowledge that allows you to recognize errors when you encounter them. And never assume that a coin is ordinary just because it seems common, because as the 1992 D Roosevelt dime proves beyond any doubt, extraordinary treasures can be hiding in the most unexpected places. And that brings us to the end of today's incredible journey through these three amazing Roosevelt dime errors, each one representing extraordinary rarity, value, and the ongoing possibility of discovery that makes numismatics so exciting. Remember, the 2013 D worth up to $16 million, the 2002 P reaching $34 million, and the absolutely record-breaking 1992 D commanding $51 million. These aren't just abstract numbers, they're real documented values, achieved in actual sales, representing genuine market demand for these extraordinary pieces. Now, I want you to take everything you've learned today and put it into action. Go through your pocket change carefully, examine any Roosevelt dimes you encounter with new knowledge and understanding. Check your change jars, your collections, anywhere coins might be waiting for discovery. And here's what I need from you right now. If this video has opened your eyes to the incredible values hiding in ordinary pocket change, smash that subscribe button for Error Coins Hunter so you never miss future videos covering more valuable coins. Hit the like button to help this potentially life-changing information reach more people who need to see it. Share this video with your friends, family, anyone who handles coins regularly, because you might literally be helping them discover a fortune. And drop a comment below telling me if you're going to check your coins after watching this, or if you've ever found anything unusual in your change. Let's build a community of treasure hunters helping each other identify valuable coins before they're accidentally spent or lost forever. Remember, knowledge is power, and in the world of error coins, that power can translate directly into life-changing wealth. So stay curious, stay observant, keep searching, and I'll see you in the next video where we'll explore even more incredible coins that could be hiding in plain sight. Until then, happy hunting, and may your next coin be the discovery that changes everything.